So I've never been married, I'm single, I'm 51. That sucked the air out of her. This really cute girl at a bar comes up to me the other night and goes, "Will you save me from that guy over there? He's so creepy. He's in his 40s. I'm like, oh my God, how'd they even let that pervert in here? She goes, how old are you? I'm like, 38. She goes, oh, you're old. I took 13 years off.
That is my guest, a former accountant who escaped the corporate world to find success over the last 2 decades, telling jokes as one of the hottest comedians in the country at one of the hottest clubs you saw there in Gotham in New York City. He's been a comedian actor and he's currently working on his first album to be released later this year. He frequently performs at Gotham, as you see. Tom Eschelman joins us right now. Chris Mazzilli, our mutual friend, said, you got to interview Tom and have him on. Tom, thanks so much for doing the show.
Thanks for having me.
Talk about the transition. What were you doing when you decided to try stand-up?
You know, I was an accountant, a CPA, and I was interviewing to be a financial analyst at a big movie studio, and the guy there in the last interview started chain smoking and telling me how he ruined his life. He should have been in the creative world, and I immediately just said, oh, I got to get out of this. I moved home with my parents, started selling socks at Nordstrom, and yeah, easy breezy since then.
Right, so you realized that wasn't your thing, but you didn't have your thing. Was there a sense of panic in your parents?
I'm sure they've had their concerns, yeah, for sure. Luckily, my parents were perfect because they never encouraged me to do the entertainment industry, but they didn't discourage me, which was kind of the key thing. So, I mean, because they're sane, because like anybody, no sane parent should be like, you know, you should be an entertainer.
Yeah, it's so rewarding, and people are so balanced.
Yeah.
And the other thing, you said 9/11 happens. A lot of people join the military. You said, I'm doing stand-up.
Yeah, I was having fear of getting on stage fright, and I wanted to do it, and it wasn't until 9/11 hit, and then, you know, people are dealing with real fears and real courage that moment, and I said, what am I afraid of? I got to get on stage, and then I realized, oh yeah, this is terrifying and horrible.
But you got over it and started to thrive. So you're at a news channel, so let's talk about what's in the news.
Yeah.
Pete Davidson, who made it big at a very young age, had a tough upbringing. We know his dad died in 9/11, says he regrets something. He regrets, as we all do, buying a ferry. He says that he bought a ferry with Colin Jost. Everyone thought, what a great idea. And then in retrospect, he says it was basically should have been condemned. They don't know what to do with it. It cost $280,000. And he said he only bought it because he was...
Well, high, of course. I heard about this a year ago, and I'm like, these guys must be high.
Right.
Like, no young guys with a bunch of money go buy a broken down, like, ferry vessel. Like, you know, it's just, their lives are so much different is what I was thinking. Because, like, they get high and they regret buying a giant boat. I get high and I regret buying a third slice of pizza.
That's the big difference. But someday you hope to buy a ferry really drunk. That would mean you broke through. That means you're on SNL.
If I'm buying broken down ferries, I mean, one can only hope we could have those problems.
So I'm reading the newspaper and I see the story about helicopter parents, and I think I'm going to be seeing about sports and teens. Instead, it turns out the new trend among this generation is helicopter parents following their 20-somethings to work on their internship, and sometimes even going to the job interview with them. Does this seem... Could you see your parents doing that?
I can't even believe that's a real thing. I would love to go and to any of the club owners in the country, go, hey, can you book me more? Otherwise, you're going to hear from my mommy. It's unbelievable.
But I mean, you got to let kids be kids. It's good to have parents that are detached, but you gotta let kids do their own thing.
I mean, what are they thinking? Like, I mean, it's well-intentioned, I'm sure, but like, do they not know how the real world works? Your kid's gonna get shamed. This kid, like, if I did that, I would have nicknames for life from my coworkers and friends, and you couldn't say it on TV what my nickname is. Like,
Tom, I'm not saying you have to, but I think you have 2 nuggets for material. Should you want to bring that on stage with you Monday, June 12th, over at Gotham, or Tuesday, June 13th at the Blockchain Center. What city is that in? Do we know? The City Winery on the 17th. Gotham Comedy Club again on Monday. Westside Comedy Club on Tuesday. And Rosendale Theater. It's amazing how quiet you get when I do your plugs.
I mean, you did so well. I don't want to mess it up.
Right.
That was brilliant.
And if people want to see your stuff online and get your new album, where do they go?
TomEschelman.com.
All right. I'm I'm so glad you're not an accountant because you're a very funny guy. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, meanwhile, coming up.